One of the really interesting things you can do when you want to create things like cable or rope or even an organic thing like a snake is to use the freehand tools such as these splines here in conjunction with a sweep operation. Let's go ahead and explore what that looks like. So the first thing we need to do is choose what we want to have as the basis. So I'm going to use freehand mode, and I'm going to middle mouse button inside of my viewport so I can go to the top view. And I'm literally going to just draw out a spiral. And maybe over here I'll just do something like this. So maybe I'll have a rope that is on the floor or a telephone cord or something that's just on the ground. And when I middle mouse button again, and over here we see that we have this shape. I go ahead and move into position and up a little bit. The way a sweep works is we're going to take another shape. Let's say we have a circle or a rectangle or any of these shapes here. And that shape is going to be repeated and create a skin around our object. So imagine that you have a tunnel or something that has just this line here, and then you build up around it to create the actual shell. So let's go ahead and choose a shape. I'm going to grab, let's say, just a circle for now, and I'm going to scale it down. That's kind of important as well because when we do the sweep operation, we want to make sure that we can actually see it. And as massive as this circle is, we might have a little bit of difficulty there. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this oval down. And I'm going to make it pretty small. Of course, I can do it numerically, but I'm already here. So let me go ahead and just make it about this size here. And I'm just going to move it. You don't have to do this, but I like to put it next to the shape so I can grab it. And sometimes I like to actually rotate it so that it follows the object. But now that we have our two objects here, we have our circle and we have our spline, we now need to choose the sweep operation to add into our objects list. So let's go ahead and choose sweep. And now don't forget in Cinema 4D, hierarchy is very important. So the sweep operation is going to remain at the top of our stack. Then we want to grab the subject that we're going to have swept. And then we're going to have the thing that's going to create the actual shape of that sweep. And then I'm going to grab the spline so that it's parented, so that don't forget the arrow pointing down is parenting. And now we're going to grab the circle and do the same thing. Drag it right on into the sweep operation. And right away, you see it taking place. I'll go ahead and zoom in here. So the circle or the oval has actually been repeated to create a nice skin around our object. But there's more that we can do with this. Now, of course, if you look at the objects in this list here, we have the spline, we have the circle, and we always have the ability to change things inside of our viewport. So I'm going to go to the radius for the circle, for example, and I'll increase the radius and I'll decrease it, as you see here. So before, when we had that massive circle, this is what we would have had, something like this. But by reducing the size of the circle itself, I can create the shape I want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the spline itself. Let's come to the object properties for this guy to take a look at the type. Currently, because it's on the Bezier, it's nice and smooth. Let's go ahead and change it to something like linear. And now we have a more angular shape. We also have cubic, Akima, B-spline, and Bezier. So just because you sweep something doesn't necessarily mean you're done. This is really good when you want to create things like logos. You might want to choose the linear to create a more angular shape and create all kinds of cool stuff. So don't forget, guys, you always have the ability to change the size of your circle or whatever shape you choose. And that is a look at how to use the sweep operation in conjunction with a freehand spline.